This is a tutorial on how to create this elevator transition. The difficulty level of this video and transition is a 1 out of 5, so really easy to get you started. The techniques used will be speed ramping, and the apps that we will use to demonstrate will be in InShot, but any app works. Here are some examples of how to apply it to your niche. Pause to read, and let's get into the tutorial. For this particular transition, what's most important is understanding how to film these clips. This is a very easy transition because as long as you filmed the clips right, you will have to do very minimal editing in the editing apps. So let's take a look at how you should be filming these clips. Ideally, you start with a surface that will block the screen like this arch right here, and then you find another surface to block the bottom part for your phone to wipe through. Now, if you don't have a arch or a ceiling or a chair like this that you can actually reach or use to block, you can use a piece of white paper to mimic the look of a wall, like so. We are also using a gimbal to make sure that it is as stable as possible. If the videographer is shooting this alone, they should use a gimbal to avoid any wobbliness, and they could actually hold the paper, film it, go down, and then put the paper in again and wipe through the paper. So it is possible. Let's take a look at the clips required for this example. First, this is the first clip, so it starts with the top floor. We add a little movement so that we go from the bed to reveal the view outside, and then we wipe downwards. This is a little ledge on the side of this bedroom that we were able to use to wipe through. So that's the surface that we used. And the key here is to make sure that when you wipe through the surface that you go all the way down and that it covers the full screen. As you can see from here downwards, it covers the full screen, and Lucy continues wiping here to increase the movement to make it feel more like you're wiping through a full wall. So don't just go through and stop halfway, either here or even if you just go through but you stop right away. That is not ideal. Ideally, you want to go through and keep going so that there is this continuation of movement. Here is the next clip. So from the beginning, this is actually a piece of paper. You can actually see some writing on it. We used a piece of paper and we got very, very close to the paper so that we cover, again, the entire screen. We also made sure to start a little bit earlier. So the more towards the top that you can start, the better, so that you have that continuation of motion. And then it reveals the room. And we used a chair here to block the next scene. So we use the back of a chair right here so that we can block it fully. So that's the second clip. Now onto the third clip. Now the beginning part of this is actually the metal frame of a door here, as you can see. So we use this frame to wipe through and continue the motion here. And then we use the back of a chair again to go through again so that it looks kind of like a wall, because at least the colors are similar. Then the next clip, we didn't really have anything to wipe through, but we had a huge chunk of white in the frame, and this is just the curved wall that was above the pool here at this particular villa. And so this was the best that we could get, so we just got as much of the white as possible, and we wiped downwards and into the surface of the water, like this. The clip after that is going into the water. So I made a small mistake here, but don't worry, it's not very noticeable. The mistake I made is that my head went down way before the camera went down. Ideally, my head and the camera should be parallel going into the water. But it's not a very noticeable mistake since the speed is quite fast. So you can see now we go down, wave, and come back up. At least when we come up, it is pretty parallel. So the head and the camera comes up together. And you'll notice that I didn't actually use this clip as a final clip because I wanted to make sure that my makeup and my hair was looking nice. So I actually filmed this clip before I dunked my whole face into the water. So this clip actually came first in terms of the filming sequence. So I filmed it like this, where I don't actually put my full head into the water. I just put it so it looks like I'm coming out of the water, but all of my makeup is intact. And so this is the last clip, although I filmed this before the second last clip. Now let's piece it all together. For this particular video, we're going to use InShot since it's a very simple edit. You just have to trim it and speed ramp it when necessary. So let's import all of these clips and let's do it in order. So again, starting with the first clip, we can trim to the part where we want to start, roughly around here. And then it will start wiping downwards, and we will cut it off right here, which would create for a good continuation in the next clip. But what you want to do is you want to trim the beginning of these clips so that when it starts, there is already motion. So take a look at this. That's pretty smooth. But imagine if you started the next clip without any motion. So let's trim it to the very beginning. Did you see that it was a little bit of a pause right there? Because the speed of it going through the wall was inconsistent. So this is when the camera person was just getting started and creating some motion, so it was slower. And that's why we have to trim out the slow part in the beginning so that it looks like the speed is consistent throughout, like so. Now, because we are going through these different clips, we can also speed ramp a little bit. So what we're going to do is go to curve, and we can start to customize the curve that we want it to speed up in. So the first part, maybe we want it to be just a little bit faster so that things are happening faster. And then from here, we want to really ramp it up. So when it goes down into the wall, we want to have it be significantly faster. Let's say it's like 2.38. And then for the next clip, we also want to speed up just the beginning part of it. So we go into curve, speed this up, take a look. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's play it again. Now that looks really smooth. And the speed is fast enough where it looks really smooth and there's a little bit of a speed up in between the walls, but there's enough of a motion that it actually does look like a wall. Right, now let's continue to the next clip. So we can pause it right here because this is when it changes, and then we can trim again a little bit of the beginning where it starts slow. Similar concept to the last one. That looks really smooth as well. Maybe if we want to, we can add a little bit of speed to the beginning of this clip, but not too much because there isn't a lot of wall material to work with. It actually transitions really fast. So let's take a look. That looks pretty good. Now let's continue to the next one and let's pause it right here, split and delete the rest. And then this one in the beginning, we don't have enough material to work with, so we can just speed ramp the beginning so that it looks a bit smoother. So let's go into curve and increase the front of the clip like this. Let's see if that helps. So this clip also goes a little slow, so we can increase the speed throughout just a tiny bit, maybe 1.1-ish, like so. Okay, let's take a look. So it wasn't perfect, but maybe we can trim this a little and then see if that looks better. That definitely did look a bit smoother. What if we sped up the last little bit where we go into the back of the chair? I think that looks pretty good. And now it's going into the water. So you want to trim it right when you touch the surface of the water and go below the water right here. So you can split it right there and delete the rest. And now you want to trim the beginning of the clip to find the part where the camera meets the surface of the water, roughly here, right around there. If you need to be more precise, you can use your 2 fingers to zoom in on the timeline, and then you can be more precise this way. So maybe we can connect it around here. That looks pretty good. So from the surface to below the water. Now let's play that. That looks great. So now let's connect the last bit. Let's again cut it off right when the camera comes out of the water, because this is where the transition happens. And then let's find the part in the beginning of the next clip where that happens, right here. So split the clip, delete the first part, and let's take a look. That looks really seamless. Okay, and we want to end the clip right here. So split and delete the rest. And now let's take a look at the whole clip in full screen. That looks pretty good. Overall, I'd say just this part, it seemed to go a bit too fast here, so I might go back and adjust the speed at the beginning because maybe I overdid it a little. So let's slow that down a bit. And let's take a look. I think that works. I don't think there's much else we can do here, really, but it does work since it's continuing the motion. All right, and that's really it. And if you want to speed up any parts of the clips, let's say you want to speed up this whole clip in the middle part, you want it to be at 1.2 versus 1x the speed, you can always do that. So like so. Because maybe the clip is going a bit too slow for your liking, you can speed this up as well, 1.2. And so that way you can have a very consistent speed at which the elevator transition is happening. And here is the final result. I also want to show you some other clips where we use this similar transition method. This is one that I did for a hotel collaboration. We use the bed sheets here, and this is, I believe, the bed frame or the back of a chair or stool or something like that. And we came out from the view and went downwards here. So this is the first clip. The second clip was the kitchen, and we used a white piece of paper to wipe through from the top and then wipe through from the bottom. So for the bottom part, we actually did put a chair, as you can see here, this leather chair. And you can see in the mirror reflection, the photographer is going down with the phone. He actually didn't have a gimbal, so he was trying to keep it as stable as possible, like so. So this is the second clip. Now this is the third clip. He's going up into the paper and coming back down. And notice that at the beginning of this clip, I added some motion by walking into the frame. Now this is just to add some more interest. And then we again use the back of a chair to end this transition. Next, we continued this in the subway. Again, using the paper, we brought the paper with us, and here he put the paper below and then transitioned through the paper. Next is at London Eye, again bringing the paper with us and doing this again outdoors. Next scene is going back into the hotel so that we tell a full story. It's like a whole day of sightseeing in London. And then the last clip is coming out of the nighttime in their living room to the amazing view, and then we walk out into the view. So because the photographer didn't actually have a gimbal on him, so the last part was just a tiny bit shaky, as you can see here. It's more obvious only because there are two big black lines between the Tower of London, so then it becomes extra obvious if it's slightly wobbly. And so that's how we finished this whole transition here, like this. And here is the final result. Oh, it's not the same.